back to the Monday, October 17th, 2022 MMAOB Daily Podcast. It's Adam Martin, Big Marcel. We're going to be breaking down UFC 280, guys. I can't wait to talk about this card, man. I've been looking forward to it for months. Looking forward to that. We got Glenn in the chat with a question right off the bat. He's asking if you're going to do your heart versus head polls, Marcel.
Remind me, Glenn, if you want. I will do it, but remind me.
Hit him up, Glenn. Remind the man. Okay, right before we start, guys, I just want to see this. I'm going to show you guys something. Ariel Helwani just reported that there's news here that UFC fighters have been banned from betting on their fights, which is interesting. Because for years, they were allowed to bet on the fights. I'll put up the tweet here. We'll get into the breakdown one sec.
Yeah.
Hey, Cole. We're going to talk about it right now, actually. I see Cole in the chat. Let me pull this up, guys. I just saw this. It's very interesting. We'll read this together. So, athletes prohibited from this is the UFC just sent this memo to fighters and managers regarding a change in their athlete conduct policy. UFC fighters are now prohibited from gambling on UFC fights, regardless of if they are involved or not. So you can't bet on other people's fights either. They can still be sponsored by the gambling companies, but not allowed to bet on them at all. So it says athletes are prohibited from placing wagers directly or through third-party UFC matches. Most states will legalize sports betting wagering by an athlete or on any MMA match put on by a promoter with which they are affiliated is illegal and may result in criminal sanction. Athletes should be aware in most states these state prohibitions apply to some, if not all, relatives listening to some household, athletes, coaches, etc., any other people with access to non-public information regarding participants in any MMA match. An athlete becomes aware of knowledge of any wagering violation of these policies, must immediately notify the UFC. And it says here, there's like a long thing saying that in light of clear direction we received from regulators. Okay, I see what it's saying. I don't think it's UFC really saying it. They're saying basically like the government is like, you're not allowed to do this, and we don't want you guys doing this either now. So I guess they obviously don't want to get in trouble, but like I'm not sure if it's really 100% from the UFC if that makes sense, because it looks like it's the government saying that you can't do it. But man, it's interesting, because like for years they could bet on the fights. It looks like Kroos can't bet on his fighters either because he's a coach that says you can't. Coaches or family members can't bet on fighters either. I don't know. Any thoughts on this? It's just obviously breaking news, Connor.
I think it's completely bullshit that family members can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What can you say? And I don't think it comes particularly from the UFC, because I think they are actually more into the gambling thing like lately in the last couple of years. Even if there's DraftKings the whole damn time on, you know. You got the betting show with Johnny, I think, and during the Contender Series, right? So I don't think it's particularly coming from the UFC. You know, I know the UFC has signed it, but maybe they had there's some people behind it who the government, for example, like you say, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the Kroos thing was, definitely impacted this because he's so open about it, right? Like
Possible.
because for years, like fighters or teams were betting on them, and fighters betting on themselves. Dennis Bazooka, he just fought in Vegas. He posted a ticket and betting himself.
Justin James
bet his whole purse on himself when he fought Charles Rosa. I don't know about this, guys. This is kind of weird. We got some comments here. We got our boy MMA locker room here. What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
Andrew says Kroos is going to announce he's coming to retire any minute now. It's funny. For real though, have to wonder how they enforce this. Like, are they suspend people if they break it? I don't think it's the UFC enforcing it. It looks like it's the government. It's a government mandate. Like, but you're right. I mean, it's, like, really, like, how are they going to know, man? If I texted you, Marcel, you're my brother, and I'm like, yo, put some money on me. Are they going to know that? How, like, are they really going to know that? Like, I guess the DraftKings or whoever could say, hey, Adam's brother's betting on him. I don't know.
Bro, I listen, man. If you were my brother, you were fighting, and I wanted to bet on you, but I can't do it. I would ask probably a friend of mine who I know very well, a good friend, and I ask him to. I give him my money, and I tell him to bet. You know what I mean? And I give him 10% if I win.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, get some more comments here, guys. Justin James wish this happened senior. That's funny. He could have saved himself $25K. Carson Bannon is still betting his fighters. It doesn't look like it from this. They had no choice. What's up, guys? How's it going, Steve? Glad to have you, buddy. If they tell the government to buzz off, they're Canada words they want to open. It's true. That's true. It's true as well. The UFC, you're saying, family and everything's even dumber. Yeah. I don't agree with that at all. You know, they just put an end to Kroos' side hustle. The thing was with Kroos is like there's one, like, I think he could have gotten away with just giving his advice and stuff, and even like selling his picks, but like when he started saying like, "Hey, we'll take over your guys' account," and that stuff is that was just way too crazy, and it just put so much like focus on him. I guarantee you bet on Anna Martinez, man. When I was watching that fight, I could tell, like, he was very urgent in the corner. I'll just say that, yelling at the guy, "What are you doing?" He's probably had a couple of grand on his boy. He's like, "Let's go." James Vick. He also bet himself? I can't remember if he did.
He always, I think he bet on Sodiq Yusuff for sure.
Oh, that's right. Actually, he did, but he was a guy that was betting on. Yeah. He did Christian Reinforced Asia. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, every UFC's promos at DraftKings. It's true. Anyways, it's something interesting, guys. We don't know all the details yet, but that's what the memo says anyway. So be interesting to see if Dana talks about that. Maybe someone asks him about it this week.
No, they won't.
Probably not, though. All right, let's say we'll get into UFC 280 preview. Let's start, guys. All right, Marcel, I always ask you this: your overall thoughts on this card? Because from my point of view, like, it's the best card of the year.
I mean, every MMA fan, if you're a male, you get a straight boner. If you look at this card, let's be honest, it's an amazing card. Top to bottom, that's good. You got a lot of good fights on this. I mean, pretty much every fight on the main card, maybe except for Shukagin Furo, could be a main event of a fight night. You know what I mean? Besides the title fights, obviously, we should be on a pay-per-view. But just good. And even Belal against Brady can be a main or a co-main event in a fight night, so which is the opening prelim or the feature prelim. So yeah, it's a good fight. It's a good card. What can we say, right? I mean, this is an amazing card. I think the the people in Abu Dhabi who paid a lot of money to get such a good card over there. Also on the European prime time, so that's perfect for us. It's free to watch in the Netherlands for Dutch people over here, so that's amazing. It's a great card, man. I think we are both pumped for this card. This is just beautiful,
Yeah, it's an incredible card, guys. Like, it's really, really good. There's no doubt about it. Let's get into it. Let's start with the first fight here. We got Karol Rosa taking on Lina Lansberg, guys. Pull up the odds here. First fight in the card. Karol Rosa minus 260, Lansberg plus 220. Your thoughts? Go ahead.
I gotta say, it's nice from the UFC that they start with a bedroom break. Lina Lansberg against Karol Rosa. It's another fight I'm really looking forward to. I think Karol Rosa, she really disappointed me in their Sarah McMahon showing last time out. Lina Lansberg, she's getting older. No disrespect, although she did pretty well against Penny Kianzad. Although she lost the fight. For me, probably goes to a decision this one, and I'm picking Karol Rosa to win here. I think she's more talented than Lina Lansberg, and she has more to gain in this fight. So this is pretty much. I think when this fight got announced, most people were like, "This could be on a different card." Karol Rosa, unanimous decision.
Yeah, it is kind of like, it seems out of place a little bit on this card. I agree. Karol Rosa is my pick. I know she lost her last fight. She didn't look very good against Sarah McMahon. I think we'll agree on that. But I still think she's a really talented prospect, and she is 12 years younger in this fight. Like, that's a significant advantage. Lina Lansberg's 40 years old. She might be the oldest women fighter in the UFC. It's possible, right? Is she? I think she is right now, right?
Sure.
Because Renault got she retired, right? So I think she might be. And if not, that she's up there, and I'll bet against that any day. So Karol Rosa, I think the odds are bang on. Like, I think they're reasonable. Like, if anything, I think Rosa, I kind of think she should be even higher of a favorite, like minus 300-ish. So I think she wins for sure. Like, I was surprised by the last loss, but I think Rand is a better fighter than Lansberg, even though Lansberg, they had that fight a few years ago. Actually, Rand pretty much washed her in that one, now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, no need to overthink it. Karol Rosa by decision. That's my pick. All right, let's go to the next fight here, guys. We have Mokaev against Malcolm Gordon. Malcolm X, fellow Canadian Marcel. He's actually from the same town as me, Scarborough, Ontario here.
Shit, you're going to pick against your boy then.
I know, right? Minus 730 and Mokaev, plus 530 Malcolm Gordon. I mean, I'll just start with this one too. You can't pick Malcolm Gordon here. Like, you just can't. He just really hasn't. I don't listen. He is 2-2 in the UFC, but like, really, like, hasn't looked great in my opinion. And he's taking on the best prospect probably in this weight class. I don't think Mokaev looked amazing against Charles Johnson in his last fight. Like, it was a little disappointing to me, honestly, the way he fought, but it's effective and it wins fights. I expect him to win easily. The question is, does he win by stoppage or does he win by decision? Malcolm Gordon's been I think he's been knocked out quite a few times in his career. I think it's possible this could be a fight where Mokaev gets the job done with a knockout. I lean decision probably just because the way the last fight went, but it could be a spot where he knocks him out. But 100% he wins this fight. What do you think, man?
I think Mokaev subs him in the first round, man. I think he gets him to the ground, and I think he chokes him out.
He chokes him
That's
out.
what
Okay.
that's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think Malcolm Gordon ain't a bad fighter, but I don't see him toughing it out like Charles Johnson did in London earlier this year.
Right.
So no, first round submission for Muhammad Makhachev, and then hopefully we finally get him in the rankings to see him fight a ranked guy, because this fight, listen, I'm happy to see Mokaev fight again, but this fight is, you see in the odds, -700, I think he is, right? It's not really a competitive fight on paper, and I don't think it will be in real life,
No, I think you're right. Marcel likes the first round submission. The thing is, like, Gordon's been knocked out 4 times, submitted once. That's why I'm leaning a knockout here. But submission is obviously very likely too. Either way, I think he finishes him.
Listen, Juani, you see, I try to grow my throw here. I mean, the relationship status that I try to,
And this was a good show. Holly is a little bit older than Lina. She's 41. Good call. This is the team that they set up fight for Mokaev, probably. All right, let's get to the next one here, guys. This is a good one here. Armen Petrosyan taking on AJ Dobson, UFC middleweight division. Petrosyan favorite here, minus 205, plus 175 on Dobson. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man. The thing is, Armen Petrosyan's ground game is as good as my diet. It's not good. So, I mean, and AJ Dobson, I think AJ Dobson, he lost to Malkoun, but he didn't do that bad against Malkoun. He didn't got completely dominated on the ground. He did pretty well, although he lost. Armen Petrosyan, fun stand-up fighter. Looked good on the Contender Series against Kaloyan Kolev. He got a win over Gregory Rodriguez in the fight. I think Gregory Rodriguez should have got the win, in my opinion. Got pretty much dominated by Caio Borralho on the ground last time. I think AJ Dobson wins this fight, man. I think he wins the decision here. I think he gets him into deep waters, and I think he wins the decision.
Do you like? Sorry, say it again.
AJ Dobson by decision.
Wow. Okay, so that's an upset pick for you. Okay. I'm on the other side, man. That's why I wanted to hear what you said again. I like Armen here a lot. I think Armen finishes him, man, probably. I just think the striking levels are very wide here. And I know you're saying, listen, the last fight with Petrosyan was against Borralho was bad, right? Like, taking down control. But against Gregory Rodriguez, man, like, he did kind of hold his own in the grappling. I know Gregory got him down a couple times, but he didn't get, submitted. And he actually won that fight. He just beat Gregory Rodriguez 2 fights ago, guys. Like, again, that was a close fight, but he got the job done. And to me, that's such a big win now, especially looking back. Like, that's a huge win. I don't know. Dobson, like, didn't impress me at all against Malkoun. Again, that's a tough fight for anyone. He did look good on Contender, but doesn't have a lot of experience either. 2 unexperienced guys. I just think the striking level is just really wide here for Petrosyan. I was expecting you to pick Petrosyan too, but totally fair that you go with the dog. There's probably a couple dogs in here that I'm going to pick that you aren't, so it's interesting. This won't be one of them. I'm going with the favorite here. Give me Petrosyan by knockout. I think it finishes him.
Let me get the DMX reference in this. A dog is a dog.
Yeah, that's funny. Andrew says he likes Dobson getting finished late by Petrosyan. That's kind of what I'm thinking too, but Marcel gave you some food for thought here. All right, let's go to the next one here. Abubakar Nurmgomedov taking on Gadzhi Omargadzhiev. Odds on this one have Abubakar minus 175, Gadzhi plus 150. Your thoughts, Marcel?
So we got Dagestan against Dagestan here. This doesn't happen often that Dagestan fights Dagestan. Definitely not in the UFC. Abubakar Nurmagomedov, he is the least talented guy from the Nurmagomedov family, in my opinion. I don't say he's bad, but I'm not really high on him. I picked his fights good so far. I picked Zalata against him, and I picked him against Gooden, so that was good. Gadzhi Omargadzhiev, he got completely outworked by Caio Borralho, right, in his debut in the UFC. Well, I think Caio is really good. He's really good, and he looked really good against Jancy Silva. I remember the Contender Series before, and I always like Gadzhi. I think he trains at MMA Factory in Paris, right? Or am I wrong? I'm right?
Gadzhi, he might.
Yeah, I think he's in Paris.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with Abubakar here, man. I feel more comfortable with going with Gadzhi. I think Gadzhi even can finish him, man. I take Gadzhi or Omargadzhiev here. I'm taking him via TKO in the second round.
Topology says he trains at another gym. He trains at Golden Team Russian MMA. That's what it says. But
Then maybe he has trained in Paris because I'm for sure he trained with MMA Factory. Maybe not anymore.
I think I kind of feel like I've seen that before as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the trickier fights in the card. Personally, I kind of feel this one go either way. I'm leaning towards Abubakar a little bit, just because I think he's proven a little bit more in the UFC, right? But he hasn't looked great, and Gadzhi is moving down in weight now, right? Because the fight with Borralho was at middleweight, so maybe he'll look better in this fight. Yeah, we could go either way. I'm leaning towards Abubakar by decision, but this is not one of my more confident picks on the card, to be fair. So, get some comments on this one. Talking about the last fight, he says when Marcel gets picked against a lead kickboxer, listen, it's funny. Card's loaded, sure is. You guys think Krylov versus Volkan could be a pick-up? Could be. We'll talk about that fight in a few minutes here. All right, let's go to the next one here. We got Magomed Mustafaev taking on Yamato Nishikawa. This guy is like super young. I think he's 19 or 20 years old.
He's 19, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the youngest guys in the roster, and he's got a crazy record. So I'll get you to talk about him in a second here, Marcel, and get the odds. Mustafaev minus 550, plus 400 in the underdog. What do you think?
I mean, this motherfucker started his professional MMA career at 14. You know,
Crazy.
What were we doing when we were 14?
Not that. 20 years ago. Holy shit, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I always, when I see like guys born after the 2000s, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm getting old. So let's be honest, man. Mustafaev was supposed to fight someone else. I don't know anymore who he was supposed to fight. Let me think. Oh, Malarkey. He was supposed to fight Malarkey. Nishikawa, I don't know too much about him. So some of his fights, he didn't look bad, but his opponents weren't that great. You know what I mean? Got a lot of draws also on his record. That's because he fought at a how do you say that? At a promotion who, when you were out of time, it wasn't automatically a draw. Some of those fights.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can't remember promotion, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So Mustafaev, the thing with Mustafaev is that he doesn't fight too often, but he's a quality fighter, man.
Yeah.
I think he knocks him out first round, to be really honest. I think the gap in the level gap is too high in this one.
The promotion is called PFC. That's the promotion, pound for pound fighting in Japan. Not too familiar. Okay. Anyways, I didn't know anything about this guy. I'll be honest with you guys. But I watched some fights today on YouTube. Some of the Shudo fights. Looks pretty good, but like, you know, still pretty green. I think the level of opposition is not great. He does have a lot of experience, like as far as number of fights, almost 30 fights. Actually, does have 30 fights, which is insane. He's 19 years old. So I think there's something here. There's definitely some upside here with this guy. I think he's an interesting prospect, but this is a kind of a weird fight, right? Against a guy who's shown the ability to be amazing in the UFC at times. Like, and again, this is short notice for Yamato, right? Jamie Malarkey was supposed to fight Magomed. And Magomed's had a weird UFC career because he, like you said, barely fought. He's been in the UFC since 2015, but has 5 fights. But, you know, the 3 wins are by knockout, and one of them was over Fiziev. And he knocked him out with like a spinning back kick, and Fiziev had his arms up, and it knocked him out still. Then he had a fight with Brady that could have gone either way. And then, obviously, last year he was supposed to fight Demir, and then Demir got sick, I believe. I don't think it was Magomed. I think Demir was the one who got sick, and he didn't fight last year either. So 2-year layoff, that's the worry for me here against a guy with a lot of upside, I think. So 34-year-old against 19-year-old. I think that's what makes it tricky. Got to pick Magomed Mustafaev more. So he probably does knock him out. You know, like you said, he's a more proven guy, and like you said, there's probably levels here, but it is pretty high odds. You know, for a guy who hasn't fought in a while against a young prospect. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting fight, but still, you got to go with Mustafaev. That's the right pick here. I just think that the odds are a little bit wide. You know, to me, anyways. Get some comments here. Glyn said Fernando Lopez is his manager. Okay, that's interesting. Makhachev. Okay, we'll talk about. Hey, Beercha, how's it going? We'll talk about the Makhachev fight in a few minutes. Nishikawa was Shudo's lightweight champion at 18 against Jason Japanese MMA guy. Good future, far too early for him. Probably, yeah. I mean, Tyra, I think, is kind of from the same promotion, right? Shuto Japan. He's asking about Charles and Connor. We'll talk about that. We'll save that for the main event, Beercha. I want to stay focused on this one. George like Nishikawa, and it's possible. The odds are kind of wide. Lynn's bringing up the opponent record. I agree. I mean, it's not terrible, Lynn. It's not terrible for a young fighter, not terrible at all. It's not great, but it's not. I've seen worse. I think we've all seen worse. Mustafaev also fighting once every 2 years is insane. I know. I wish he could fight more often. He's very good. Robbie Fox dropped an interview with Dana. Volkan gets the winner of Oliveira Makhachev. Yeah, I guess O'Malley gets the winner of next bantamweight title shot. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, there you go. Although Dana White, he changes his mind all the time, but that's interesting. Mustafaev in round 1 looks decent. That's a good point, actually. That could be a one that cashes because if he wins, he probably does win by first round knockout. So maybe that's a good one there. All right, Marcel, let's go to the next fight here. We got Zubaira Tukhugov taking on Lucas Almeida, featherweight division. Right now, the odds on this one: Tukhugov minus 155, Almeida plus 135. Go ahead.
So this is a very tricky fight, man. This is a difficult one, actually, because Zubaira Tukhugov, I think he is better than many people think he is, The Hakeem Dawood fight, I think he won that fight. He just cruised, or how do you say, coasted in the third round, and that costed him. I still think he won the first two rounds in that fight. Also a guy who doesn't fight too often, in my opinion, and not often enough. Lucas Almeida, great showing against Mike Trezano, right, in his UFC debut. Stopped him via strikes in the third round and got the fight in the night bonus. Before that, defended his jungle fight title. And before that, looked really good against Daniel Zellhuber in the Contender Series. But Zellhuber just looked a little bit better and got the decision win over there. And the contrasts are big, if you look at how Zellhuber made his debut in the UFC, actually very bad in my opinion. And how Lucas Almeida made his debut was very good against Trezano. So looking at that, listen, if I have to go looking at recent, I would say Almeida has a really good chance if he can put up the same fight he did against Trezano to win. But man, Zubaira is good, I'm really hesitant to pull the plug on Almeida here, and I'm not going to do it. I'm staying with Zubaira here. I'm taking him via unanimous decision, but man, I wouldn't be surprised if Almeida wins. I think this is a really close fight, 50-50 here.
Yeah, this is another close one. I'm leaning towards Almeida a little bit. I really like this guy, man. I picked him in the last fight against Trezano. Castro as a dog. He looked pretty good against Zellhuber. Again, that Zellhuber guy, I don't know what happened to him in the last fight, right? But at the time, especially, it wasn't like the fact that the fight went the distance. Dan White was raving about him. He's like, "Oh, this guy looked good. He might get signed, even though he lost. They ended up signing him. I think he's good. Tukhugov's pretty solid too. I mean, he's been in the UFC again for a long time, like since 2014. He's 5-2-1. Doesn't fight all that often, but when he does fight, obviously, pretty good fighter. More experience in the UFC. There's a lot to like about him. He can win this fight. Don't get me wrong, but I got to take some underdogs here. It's not like they're not going to win. I do think this is a live dog, Almeida, who I think is good, height and reach advantage in this fight, and just the high output of striking. I think that's what's going to get him the job. I think it'll be a close fight, like maybe a split decision, but I think he's going to win the decision. So that's my pick in this one, Marcel. I think it should be a fun fight. Probably one of the more exciting fights in the card, to be honest with you. 100% finish rate for Almeida. Possibly, I was leaning more towards a decision, just him appointing his opponent. But like you said, does have a lot of knockouts, so that's possible. Tukhugov, I don't think has been finished, at least on the UFC. Maybe outside the UFC. Glenn thinks he's gotten worse since you saw that. Maybe it's possible. I wouldn't doubt that at all. All right, let's go to the next fight here. Volkan Oezdemir against Nikita Krylov, and odds for this one, or I should say Krylov. Excuse me. I always say Krylov. It's Krylov. Minus 165, Krylov, plus 140, Oezdemir. What do you think, Marcel?
Yeah. Also, such a difficult fight to pick here. If you look at Oezdemir last time, he did very well to prevent Paul Craig from getting with him to the ground. Nikita Krylov last time almost he completely destroyed Gustafsson. But Gustafsson shouldn't have been with him in the cage, in my opinion. And Krylov before that lost to Paul Craig while dropping him, and he got into that I think in the triangle. Yeah. What should we say? I think will be also another close fight, which literally can go both ways. Can Oezdemir? The thing is with Paul Craig doesn't really have good striking, in my opinion, and Nikita Krylov does. And Oezdemir got clocked before, but at the same time, Krylov got clocked before, So, I'm going with Krylov, but I'm not sure at all. Decision again here. I don't think we see a finish, but again, not sure at all. Super close fight. Can go either way. Both guys can knock each other out. I think Krylov is a little bit better on the ground, but then he has to get Oezdemir to the ground. So yeah, I'm taking Krylov because I think Krylov has more ways to win the fight.
Yeah, I like Krylov too. Because I agree with you. I think he's the more well-rounded guy. Like he's proven that over so many years now in the UFC. Like the last win over, I know Gus is his chin's gone, but like that was really impressive. He was looking great against Paul Craig before he got caught in the triangle. Like let's just call it what it was. It was a bad decision to stay in the guard, but he was hammering him like with crazy hammer fists. He went the distance with Ankalaev. He went the distance with Glover. Like these were pretty competitive fights. Like guy's pretty solid. He's not great, but he's solid. You know, Oezdemir, I think kind of the same. Not great, but solid. And he is coming off that win over Paul Craig. He looked pretty good. Stuff to take down, kept the stand. But like the thing about Craig is he doesn't have that danger on the feet, right? With Krylov, he can knock you out and he can submit you. That's the difference, right? So I think Oezdemir has his hands full in this fight, Marcel. I think it'll be Krylov really pursuing the takedown. I think in this fight, you're going to see a lot of like fence pushing and stuff. I think he'll get the takedown here and there and win a close decision. That's kind of what I think in this fight. There is a possibility he can knock out Oezdemir because who's been knocked out a bunch of times, right? But I'm leaning more towards a decision just based on how Krylov's been fighting lately. But definitely Oezdemir by knockout or getting knocked out as possible because I saw someone talking about that in the chat. Do I worry about the decision for Oezdemir? It kind of, but again, I feel like it's going to be more of a grappling type of fight personally. Like U's decision. Maybe. Lean Nikita, though. A lot of other people say Nikita here. Nikita by Krylov by knockout. It's possible. All right, let's go to the next one here. Makhmud Muradov taking on Caio Borralho. Odds for this one. Borralho minus 200, Muradov plus 170. What do you think?
I like the matchup, man. I think Caio Borralho is all around pretty good. He just prefers to be to wrestle, you know, and to use his jiu-jitsu. That's his thing more. Makhmud Muradov, to me, more of a kind of a striker. I know he can do a submission as well, but he's the only guy under management of Floyd Mayweather, right? The only MMA fighter under management of Floyd Mayweather. But I was kind of disappointed, man, in his last performance with Jared Mearshart. I didn't expect that to happen at all. You know, I think he got submitted in the third round, right? You know, I think Muradov is a good fighter, but if we look at the complete package, I think Caio Borralho should win this fight, and he should finish Muradov as well. You know, I think Borralho controls the first round and probably gets a submission in the second round. So I'm taking Caio Borralho here, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. Borralho's got to win this fight. Like this guy's really good. Muradov is man, like a lot of hype behind him too. I don't know what happened in that Mearshart fight, right? But it didn't look good at all, and the grappling got kind of exposed there. Now he's taking on a guy that is just endless gas tank, can take you down at will. I think, you know, not the most exciting performances, let's be honest, but man, he's effective as hell with that wrestling. And I just think the guy is really good, Borralho. I think he could be a guy that's going to fight in the top 15 for a while. I think he takes him down, grinds him out, probably decision, but, you know, Muradov's been submitted a couple times now, so I think that's possible too.
Bro, I feel so bad for Aaron Jeffrey, man, that he had to fight this guy before that. I think he fought Brandon Allen. Right. He pretty much fought two solid guys who went to the UFC, and there are other guys who had to fight less good guys to get in the UFC. He's not in Bellator, dude. He's doing well. He stopped Fender for it last time, but man, that's tough, you know.
Completely agree, but I mean, he did end up in a good spot in Bellator, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think he'll be okay with it. A couple other comments here. Caio, yeah. On roids and training with Hamza. I don't know if he's on roids, but he's going to win. He has been training with Hamza. Second round, we're naked choke for Caio. Very possible. Caio going to piss a lot of people off when he whip flank against another guy to easy decision avoids going for subs. I think that's how I see the fight going out. But I definitely, this guy's been subbed a few times. I kind of feel like it's the UFC making a good fight here for Borralho personally. All right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. Tom Brady taking on Bilal Muhammad. This is the preliminary card main event, and this is a fight we've been looking forward to for like a long time now. Just because I want to see, you know, if Sean Brady's as good as I think he is. I think he is that good. And now he takes on Bilal Muhammad, a guy who's proven me wrong a few times now against Wonderboy and Luque. Interesting matchup stylistically. Odds for this one, we have Brady minus 145, Bilal plus 125. And it's worth noting, originally, Muhammad opened as the favorite and the line flipped quickly, and it's been Brady obviously taking money since then. I'll start on this one too. I definitely going with Sean Brady. I think the guy is the future. I really like him. 5-0. I think he's looked great in the UFC. Good wrestling. I think his striking's improving. Now he got his nose fixed. It should help his cardio, you would assume. Bilal's an interesting fight, right? Because he's a really good wrestler and he's a pretty tough dude. I mean, he got knocked out obviously by Luque back in the day, but like ever since then, never been knocked out since then. And the guy's got a good chin, fought elite competition. Last couple fights looked really good. But I just again, he's very reliant on the wrestling. And in this fight, I don't think he take down Sean Brady. I think it's going to be a striking battle. I think Brady's got the better striking. I think Brady's like the more well-rounded guy, more upside. I got to go with Sean Brady here, Marcel. Like there's just everything's pointing to me to win the fight, but then again, the line's so close, and a lot of people are saying Belal wins. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one because for me, it's like Brady wins a decision here, and I feel good about it. But I want to hear what you think.
Besides that third round against Chiesa, where Brady was guessing a little bit, I think he's a huge talent. In my opinion, Belal has that. Listen, I think Belal is a great guy. No disrespect. But he has that thing, just like Chookagian, that every fight he's in, he can make a fight look worse, and he can look even. That dude even made Vicente look like a boring motherfucker. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not really liking Belal fight overall. I respect what he does. He's very talented in the wrestling department, but it's not really appealing to watch. You know what I mean? And for Brady, I think he has more ways to win. I know he's also wrestling heavy, and he's also going for submissions a lot. But I prefer to see him fight. And I think he's a huge talent. I'm always liking Brady. He got a next level back tattoo, which I really like, by the way. I had to mention it. I'm taking Brady here as well. I'm taking him with a decision. I think Brady wins the fight.
Yeah, me too. That's good. I figured you'd pick him too. Guys like Brady by sub. I'm thinking decision. Belal's pretty tough, man. But Brady is very good at submissions. Like that win over Jake Matthews looks a lot better too now. Matthews is looking good. Marcus really likes Sean Brady. I agree completely. I think the odds are good too. You'll be a bet for me. So the next fight here, we have Caitlin Chookagian taking on Manon Fiorot. And this fight is definitely an interesting one here, starting off the card. The pay-per-view card, I should say. I got to say, I don't think it should be opening the main card of the pay-per-view, but it is an important fight in the division, so I guess I understand why. If Fiorot wins, she probably gets a title shot, so especially if it's impressive, right? So, what are the odds for this one? Fiorot minus 215, Chookagian plus 185. What do you think, man?
I only want to say, if I hear somebody say one more time Fio on the broadcast, I'm going to lynch him on Twitter. It's Fioro, Manon, Fioro. It's not that difficult. Yeah, I mean, what can we say? Death, taxes, and Chookagian by decision, right? The thing is, Fioro, she's a good fighter. I really like her style. I really like how she fights. She's aggressive. I think she's pretty all round. I think her standing is better than her grappling, but I think she can grapple as well. The thing is, maybe Chookagian's even better on the ground than Fioro. I'm not sure about that, but she pretty much never uses her wrestling. Chookagian does. She did against Antonina, I remember. This is going to be another fight where Chookagian is going to hut a lot, and a lot of judges think, oh, she hits her, and then she doesn't. And I don't think Fioro finishes her, so we're going to a decision here again. And I think Chookagian wins the decision here. So I hope, for the sake of the division, that Fioro does win the decision or win by stoppage, because Chookagian is really pretty much in front of everybody. She keeps staying at the number one contender position, but she's not getting a title shot anytime soon. Even if she beats Fioro, she won't get a title shot here. Even if she beats her by stoppage, I don't think she gets a title shot. So, but that's what I think. I think Chookagian wins the decision. That's what I think.
I'm with you, actually, surprisingly, because she is a decent underdog here. I think she can win too. I mean, this fight is really close. Like, I don't really see how it's minus 215 from Fiorot. I just think that their styles is really match up, to just like a very even fight.
Yeah.
It'll take place in the feet, like you said, most likely. A lot of back and forth striking. I do think that just Chookagian's like, just like you said, the grunting and stuff. Like, I think it does help her in fights. Like, she's one of a lot of decisions.
The only time it didn't help her was against Jessica I.
I'm looking right now. All time in decisions, she's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10-2 in decisions all time. So fights go the distance, she's 10-2 all time. Like, very good chance of winning the decision if it gets there.
She lost to I and Carmouche, right?
Yeah, that's the only ones. And That's it, right? So she's obviously fought the best of the best in the division.
Mm.
Furo's good, but I still want to see more from her. Like, she hasn't really blown me away lately. I'll just be honest with you. Like, she's good, but the other thing is, like, she's not like 25. Like, she's 30. She's 32. You know, like she's not like super young by any means either. Like, she's definitely talented. Don't get me wrong. She might win this fight, but I think the values on Chikagian plus 185. Like, that seems really crazy to me. This fight's very close.
I'm with George, by the way, what he says. I agree with him.
Saying, yeah, if she gets title shot, probably if she looks really good. But yeah, I think Chikagian will win the decision. So we both like her as a dog here. Juan likes her as a dog in the comments. No one wants to see her. You think Chikagian would get Valentina? Probably not. I would think it would be Grasso instead, personally, because we already seen that fight, right? If Fiora's good take on you, I think she wins. Can't take for your own until I see that though. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I get that. Bilal 11 decision 12 and more into the Chikagian fight should be good. That's fair too. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Glenn. I definitely know what you're saying. Again, it's an important fight for the division, so I get it, but it might not be the most exciting fight. We'll see. Maybe it is good. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's back and forth war because Chikagian's fight with Ribas is actually fight of the night, right? Like,
I don't think it should have been fight of the night, dude. But
probably not. But I'm just saying, like, it was. So the UFC obviously liked that, and they gave her a push here. So we'll see what happens. All right, well, the next one here, Marcel. Ready to go? Let's talk about this fight here, guys. We got. Oh, this is a good one, man. This is a really good one, guys. Beneil Dariush taking on Mikhail Gamrot. What a fight. I want to give my boy James Lynch. I gotta give my boy James Lynch, my good friend. I gotta give him a shout out because he interviewed Mikhail Gamrot, and like, it's hard to get in touch with that guy. I think he's like the only person to interview him. So wanted to give James a shout out. You can go watch his interview with Mikhail Gamrot. Odds for this fight here: Gamrot minus 195, Dariush plus 165. I'll start on this one too. I like Gamrot. I think he wins the fight, man. I'm like very impressed by this guy. The last fight with Armen, very close fight. Really, realistically, could have gone either way, but the fact that he even went that distance with the guy who's such a good grappler and out-grappled him really in the fight was very impressive. And, looking back, like the Guram fight, I thought he won that fight. I think he could be undefeated right now. Like, the guy's winning bonuses left, right, and center. He either finishes you or he has an amazing fight with you. He really hasn't lost, clearly in his whole career. Whereas Dariush, and I love the guy, he's a good fighter, right? But you see him get knocked out multiple times. Like, we see him get finished. Like, he's definitely a great fighter, and he's on a nice, really, really nice win streak, but hasn't fought in a year and a half, coming off of that injury where he injured his knee or whatever. Like, I just have some question marks about him. He's really good, but I think Gamrot's better. I got to go with Gamrot here, Marcel. Honestly, I think he could finish him. I think he can knock him out. Maybe wins the decision, either one, but I think it's possible he finishes Dariush. What do you think, man?
So to coming back on that Armen against Gamrot fight, I scored at 4-1 for Armen after 5 rounds. So still competitive though.
Yeah.
One of the best fights of the year, in my opinion. Yeah. That Kutateladze fight, it was close. Could have. I think I scored it slightly for Gamrot, but could have been for Kutateladze. I didn't have too much of a problem with it. The thing is here, like, I think Dariush has to get this fight to the ground as soon as possible. But the thing is, Gamrot can hold himself very well on the ground as well, So I don't know if he can keep him there. The first time is even, I don't know if he can get him there, I think they start with a lot of striking, actually, because Beneil is starting to fall in love with the striking a little bit more as well, He doesn't mind to go toe-to-toe. You saw that in the Drakkar close fight. But it almost cost him there, but he got the knockout. I think Gamrot cracks him, man. I think he cracks him in the first round. I think he knocks him out. That's what I think. And there's no disrespect to Beneil or whatever. I think he's a great fighter, but I'm high on Gamrot. I think if he touches him, he cracks him and probably puts him away. So I'm taking Gamrot knockout first round.
I'm just looking at that right now. Gamrot by knockout is plus 500, guys. Like, Beneil's been knocked out 3 times. Gamrot is a couple of his UFC wins are by knockout now. 2 of them. There's a possibility of that, and the odds are a little crazy. Decision's also there for sure, but I think a knockout's very possible. I really do. Gamrot's only lost to Nawadal. You can play his mind. Maybe. I do think he won that fight with Guram. It was a great fight, though. Gamrot TKO. I think it's possible. Neil KO. Maybe. Bill could knock him out. I mean, either guy could get knocked out here. It's going to be a great fight, but I think Gamrot's I think he's the real deal. I think he's very good. All right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley. Another great fight here. Yan, minus 275, O'Malley plus 230. Go ahead. Give me your pick.
Listen, man, I've been going back and forth to this one. You know, I'm a huge Petrosyan fan, and I'm not that high on Sean O'Malley. I'm going back and forth, thinking about this one, and I think there is no way for me to go with Sean O'Malley here, man. I don't know why would I go with him. You know, he can flash knock him out, but I don't even know if he could. You know, I think Jan is the better fighter. Ground game, stand up, cardio, strength. I don't know how Sean can win. Maybe he can. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I don't see it. And I think Jan will, Jan normally always starts like slow. But at the same time, at the last fight, we saw Sean pretty much didn't do shit against Munoz. So if that happens again, we don't know what's going to happen. I think at a certain moment, Jan goes crazy and he knocks him out in the second round, TKO, a ground and pound, whatever, or a knockout, or he kicks his leg and he's done. I don't know, but I think Jan wins. I'm going with Jan with a knockout TKO in the second round.
The more that this time has gone on, I'm more interested in this fight because at first I'm like, man, like I don't see how O'Malley wins, but like as time goes on, like he does have advantages. Like he's tall, he's long, he's got obviously a lot of knockout power, so it's an interesting fight. But I mean, how do you not pick Petrosyan? Like the last two fights really could have won against Aljamain, right? Could have easily won those. Could be the champ still, could be undefeated still in the UFC. I think the guy's still a elite fighter, man. I'm not willing to write him off just yet. Whereas Sean O'Malley, like I think he could be a great fighter, but I haven't seen it yet. Like again, when he fought Vera got destroyed, and then a lot of the wins, were not against good competition. And the Munoz fight, I wasn't too impressed by that performance. That's why I'm still like a little unsure.
What's his best win? I think Paiva.
Raleigh and Paiva probably, yeah. Right? I think that's a good win. Like that guy's solid, but he didn't look very good in his last fight, to be fair. So yeah, because you look at his career, like a lot of bonuses, but against guys that aren't even in the UFC. Marcel, his only win against someone who's still in the UFC is Raleigh and Paiva.
Yeah.
That's come on. And obviously, Jan's been fighting elite guys. Now, again, doesn't mean he'll lose because of that, but it's something you have to keep on your handicap in the fight.
That's why I say there's no ground you can pick O'Malley confidently, in my opinion. It's not like I don't want him to pick or whatever, but I don't see a way why I would pick O'Malley over Petrosyan here. There is just no way, in my opinion.
I'm with you. So, yeah, I got with Petrosyan. You're saying a knockout or decision?
Yeah, knockout second round. But I mean, with no way, I don't mean he cannot beat Jan. He can beat him, but there is no way, in my opinion, I can pick him. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Worth it. In the chat, Sean O'Malley making a lot of content on YouTube. I watch some of the stuff. It's kind of funny, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Sean O'Malley's best back division uses height and reach. It is, but can he do that in this fight? I don't know. His best wins against Cheeto. Oh yeah, where he got his leg kicked off. Jan's going to take his legs off. Probably. It might look like Jonathan Martinez and Cub Swanson. Just watch that happen. All right, let's go to the co-main event here. Aljamain Sterling taking on TJ Dillashaw, and UFC Bantamweight Championships on the line in this fight, guys. And the odds for this one have the champion here, Sterling. He is the favorite, minus 175. TJ Dillashaw plus 150. Your pick in the co-main event of UFC 280, my friend.
Yeah, let me first say one of the biggest bullshit title shots in UFC history for TJ Dillashaw. Comes back from a 2-year suspension on EPO. Wins against Sandhagen in a fight I think he didn't win, and gets a title shot a year later. Aljamain Sterling redeemed himself, in my opinion, against Petrosyan last time out. I think I had it a draw. I think I scored 110-8 round for Sterling and 10-9.
Yeah, that's what I had it too.
Yeah, so the champion keeps being the champion. Actually, my colleague Dennis did an interview today with Aljamain Sterling, and he asked him about the Petrosyan. He met him actually, right, in Abu Dhabi for a few seconds, and he was like, yeah, he was cool. And he's like, maybe in the future we fight again, because he says, officially I'm 2-0 against him, and always teasing with it, but I know it's actually 1-1. That's what he said in the interview. So he's like, and if he wins, it's 2-1. Maybe we can have a fourth fight. So, but the thing is here, man, if you look, I think Aljo is a great wrestler and a really good BJJ guy, but the stand-up is still not where it has to be, I think if you look at TJ, I think TJ is a complete fighter, and that's the thing with TJ here. If TJ doesn't get caught again with whatever shit he uses, he can win this fight, because I think he has more ways to win. I think TJ stops Aljo, man. I think TJ stops Aljo in the 4th round or the 3rd round with a TKO, ground and pound. That's what I think. But we'll see. Maybe I'm completely off, but that's what I think. And as a journal, I should be non-biased, but I hope it doesn't happen because I think TJ doesn't deserve a title shot. Definitely not coming off a 2-year suspension, And the thing that even more bothered me, I don't know if you saw the promo for this fight on Saturday, like TJ was saying, like, yeah, I never lost a title against a guy. So technically, blah, blah. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You got caught. You got fucking caught. And you're still like, what are you even thinking? Be a little bit more humble. Be happy you got in this position. You got gifted a win against Sandhagen, in my opinion, and now you're in this position. And make the best out of it. I think he will, but I don't hope so. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, this is not like the easiest fight to call. I'm leaning Sterling a little bit though. Like he is the champ. Listen, I don't think he won that fight, but the fact they made it so close it's interesting. And then that win over Sandhagen, he washed him. That's a great win. The Munoz win is kind of where I'm going here because that fight, striking did look good in that fight. It looked really good in that fight against Dillashaw. He's gonna have to put it all together, man. I think it's a very competitive fight. It wouldn't surprise me if Sterling lost.
Dillashaw's favorite.
Good. Pardon?
Is Aljo the favorite? I guess.
Yeah, he's like a minus 175 favorite.
All
so
right.
Nothing crazy, but he is favorite here. He's been way more active. That's kind of the reason I have to pick him because he just fought once in 3 years, right?
I don't blame you, man.
Yeah, exactly. But Marcel, like, it's an interesting fight. There's no doubt about it. Sterling by decision is kind of what I was leaning. I think he mixes it up with a close decision, but should be a great fight, man. I love this matchup. What are you gonna say?
I gotta pick TJ. Look, check how he's looking at me here in the background. I mean,
I see it.
And Islam is looking at you, so I would be very, very curious what you're gonna do.
This is a good point, man, Glenn. He's never fought outside the States. Yeah, that's interesting for sure. We'll see what happens, guys. It's gonna be interesting. We got another question from Nasir. He says, "Well, is going to be the new champ, guys?" Well, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're not too upset if we don't pick your boy here. Let's talk about it, Marcel. Or the main event, of UFC 280. Charles Oliveira against Islam Makhachev. The vacant UFC lightweight titles on the line. Can't wait for this fight, man.
Yeah, man.
So such an amazing fight. Probably one of the better title fights like we've seen in a long time because it's so intriguing. Makhachev minus 180, Oliveira plus 155. Just want to say this before the fight. We break down the fight. So Makhachev has been the favorite in all of his UFC fights. So no different here. Oliveira is the underdog for the 3rd time in his last 5 fights. He was also the underdog against Tony Ferguson and against the Dustin Poirier, and closed as just a small favorite against Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje. He won those fights. So again, last 4 fights, not getting a lot of respect in the betting odds, but won them all by stoppage, or 3 of them, I should say. He didn't finish Tony Ferguson, but that's just something to keep in mind here, guys. I always look at that, look at the perception as time has gone on. I want to hear your thoughts on this one, Marcel. We have a guy in Makhachev that's obviously very highly touted, but Oliveira's proven it against elite guys. So what do you think, man? What gives here?
Yeah, it's a great matchup, man. It's a really good style matchup. I really love it. You got Charles Oliveira. I'm, by the way, horrible with picking Charles Oliveira's fights, guys. So the thing is with Charles Oliveira, let's go to his title fights. All of his 3 title fights, he had to come back. He got over at this adversity. But he did. And that's the difference. What he did in the early career stage, when he had problems, he probably gave up, but now he comes back and he comes back hard and he finishes these guys. And those are big wins. If you look at Islam Makhachev, only 1 career loss, and it was against Adriano Martins years ago by knockout. And he was pretty much immediately woke up when he got down, but it got stopped. The thing is, it's difficult to put it in category because obviously Charles Oliveira have fought tougher opponents than Islam did, But that's because he was in those title fights. Because if you take away those title fights, Oliveira had tough opponents, but not as tough as right now. And Makhachev is his first title shot, so you got to look at that from that way as well. The thing is, I think if Oliveira again has to come back from adversity, he will not get the chance against Makhachev. That's what I think. And the thing is, I think Oliveira's stand-up is better than Makhachev. I think he's improving. Still, I think Makhachev is stronger on the ground. He's not maybe more technical with the submissions, but his wrestling is stronger, and he can keep Oliveira on the ground, is what I think, and he can get to his back. I'm going full in on this one. I'm picking Makhachev by a first round submission, rear naked
Oh,
choke, to
wow,
get to be the new champ. Yeah,
that's interesting. Wow, okay. I mean, it's possible. Like Oliveira's been submitted before. It's not like he hasn't. Karol Lama submitted him. He's been finished on the ground. Or Anthony Pettis submitted him too. It's possible. For me, it's like this is a really interesting fight. I think it really could go either way. But you're giving me plus money on Oliveira again. Like I think I have to take it here once again.
I
Like
understand.
11 straight wins against in the last couple of fights against elite guys. Like he's beaten Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson. Not to say that Makhachev can't do, but I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. I think that the grappling is going to be super interesting. Definitely, Makhachev could get on top, but then if he gets on top, he is the guy with the most submissions of all time on the bottom. Who could submit you with triangle choke, who could sweep you. It's not like it's going to be easy for him to control on the ground. I know that it has been controlled on the ground, like Paul Felder got finished there. That fight could go like that too. It's possible. I don't think the fight goes the distance either way. I think someone gets finished here. Man, it's not an easy fight to call, but I have to lean towards Charles, man. The thing is, Marcel, I almost feel like the grappling's going to cancel out, and you might see these guys strike a bit. And I'm with you when you said Charles is the better striking. That's what I see here. I think that's a big difference here. The one loss that we did see with Makhachev, he got caught, right? So and he got knocked out.
You know what it is, Adam? I think styles make fights, and I think Islam is so strong on the ground and so good there that he can implement his game plan probably there on the ground, against Charles. And I know Charles is really good on the ground. He's the bonus king. He's the submission king in the UFC, but styles make fights, man. And I think Islam is just that guy who can control you on the ground and if he gets the chance, if he gets one chance to submit Charles, he will take it, And I think Charles as well, but I still think Islam doesn't give him that chance. You know what I mean? Different mindset, I think, with these kind of guys like Khabib, Islam, Chimaev, like this Dagestani or Chechen guys, different mindset, and super tough. And that's why I thought about it for a long time. I wasn't sure with my pick, but I pulled the plug. First round submission for Makhachev.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like again, like he's looked great, right? Like there's no doubt about it. It's tough to pick. It's really tough to pick against either guy. But again, I view it as more of like a closer fight. Oliveira by stoppage, but again, it'd be an interesting fight. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be a great
fight.
Fight,
it's awesome, man.
It's an awesome fight. I like how we're on kind of like a different wavelength here. Yeah. How do you guys see Volk versus either of those? That's interesting too.
Let's not even happen though. No, let's not even talk about that. Let's don't jinx that shit. I understand your question, but I don't want to talk about it. And I hope that Volk gets his chance at lightweight in the winner against the winner of these two.
I'm with you on that one. All right, so that's it for the UFC 280 preview. Anything else you want to say, Marcel, before we get out of here? I'm pretty much good with this. Like, I'm looking forward to the card, guys. It should be an awesome one. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, guys, I would say enjoy the card, man. I mean, it's not often we get this quality card from the UFC lately, And this is a huge card, and let's hope it delivers, because you can have big names on the card, but does it always deliver? Sometimes the lesser known guys or girls doing better, but this is an amazing card. It's like filled from top to bottom. You even got in the prelims, you got some ranked people. It's a good card. Looking forward to it, and it's at a great time for the Europeans over here, so that's a plus. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's was an absolute joy to talk about this card.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it too. All right, go ahead, Marcel. Plug your stuff. We'll get out of here, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in with us today. It was a lot of fun. Go ahead, Marcel. We'll get our stuff, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, it's still BitMarcel24 on Twitter and Instagram, and Eurosport.nl mixed martial arts section for the articles. And appreciate everybody in the comments. Thanks so much, guys, for watching.
Yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in as well. MMAOB on Twitter, MMAOBdaily.com on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all those places, guys. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. You guys can also obviously find me at bookies.com. Got my best bets out for this card, I should say. Did really well last week, so hopefully that continues this week. MyNews.com, MMAOBdaily.com. For the podcast, I just want to announce this now because I might as well talk about it. The next 3 weeks, I got to do a different day. Next week, I'm going to a concert on Monday, so I can't do it with Marcel. We're talking about Sunday right now, guys, at 1 p.m. Eastern. So that way for next week. And then the week after that, probably the same thing. We'll talk about that as well because I'm got a Halloween the next week. My kid's second Halloween, so I'm going to take her out. It's on Monday, so I got to do it the day before, and then I'm going on vacation the next week. So just bear with us the next 3 weeks. It's going to be on Sunday instead, probably, or Tuesday. So let you know. But next week for sure, Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Appreciate everyone tuned in. Talk to you guys later. Bye.